Thank you for tuning in to Lynn Community Television's Candidate Forum with those running for Lynn School Committee. Tonight we will hear from the following candidates: Stacy Bryant-Brown, Brian Castellanos, Eric Dugan, Lorrain Gately, Walquiria Leguisamon, Sandra Lopez, Tiffany Magnolia, Lenny Pena, Sean Reid, Daniel Richard, Andrea Satterwhite, and Judith Wilson. Tonight's moderator will be Joe Scanlon.
Good evening. My name's Joe Scanlon. I'll be the moderator this evening for the school committee forum, and I am the treasurer and board member of Lynn Community Television. I'm also president of Lynn Museum and Historical Society, or Lynn Museum Lynn Arts as we now call ourselves, and I'm a former councilor of Ward 1 and a former councilor at large in the city of Lynn. Needless to say, I'm a lifelong resident. So we have the candidates for school committee this evening. We have two candidates who could not join us, and there's still one we're hoping will arrive. Brian Castellanos cannot be here, and neither can Lorrain Gately, and all candidates were offered the opportunity, if they could not attend, to submit a statement. So we're going to begin. I'm going to read a statement from present school committee person and candidate for re-election, Lorrain Gately. So, hello, I am school committee member Lorrain Gately. I want to thank the Lynn Community Television for giving me this opportunity to speak to you this evening. I am a lifelong Lynner. I attended Lynn Public Schools and graduated from Lynn English High School. My son Michael attended Lynn Public Schools as well and graduated from Lynn English High School in 2013. I taught science in the Lynn Public Schools for 33 years. I love teaching science, so I've experienced Lynn Public Schools as a student, teacher, and a parent. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend this forum tonight. As the chair of the Building and Grounds Subcommittee, I have to attend a New Pickering Middle School Committee meeting tonight. This meeting is extremely important. The committee will be reviewing added schematic designs for a vote to be submitted to the Massachusetts School Business Building Authority, for review and approval on October 26th. So I cannot be in both places at once, and my job requires me to use my voice for New Pickering Middle School. During my term, I have treasured being a strong voice on the school committee and will continue to represent the students, listen and support the parents, teachers, and all staff in the Lynn Public Schools. So in closing, I respectfully ask for your continued support and humbly ask for one of your 6 votes for school committee on November 7th. Number 6 on the ballot. Thank you, Lorrain Gately. And as a alumni of Pickering Junior High School, with junior high school, I appreciate her efforts this evening. So we're going to begin with questions. There'll be no opening statement. We're going right into the questions because there's a large number of candidates. And I congratulate all of you in running for school committee. This is the first time in a long while that 12 people have run for these spots. So there's something to be said for that. So the first question, and we will start as you are seated, and we'll work around the table. So we'll start with Stacy Bryant-Brown. And the first question is going to be, in lieu of a traditional opening statement, please tell us specifically why you made the decision to run for school committee or why you wish to be re-elected. Stacy?
I am a Lynn Juvenile Court Officer. I've been Lynn Juvenile Court Officer for over 20 years. And what I've seen with the youth that come into juvenile court made me want to push for a school committee because I've seen the effects that it has on the children's short-term, long-term effects, the hardship on the children, including, including struggles such as childhood trauma and system barriers and future involvement in the criminal justice system. In my role, I have had the honor of being able to speak with youth, to be heard and provide them with space, however limited, to be heard and respectful of their authentic selves, to combat the merit educational challenge our youth are facing and the resulting of restraints it imposes on our school district. I know our community must implement and expand upon a holistic intervention to individuals and families. That's what makes me want to run for school committee. The things that the children are facing, they need a voice. They don't have a voice, and they.
Okay, that went from the yellow to the bell, but you get the point.
Okay.
So we have to be mindful of time. There's
Okay.
good things about a lot of people running, and there
Okay.
are logistical things that make, especially with television. So I apologize, but it's a different forum. Takes a little getting used to. So, okay, Eric, Dugan?
Sure. So thank you to LCTV for hosting the forum tonight and all the candidates that are here. It does take a lot to put yourselves out there and do what we're doing, so I appreciate it. And as Joe said, having 12 people and 12 qualified people like we do is great for the city, so I do appreciate all of that. But my name's Eric Dugan. I'm running because I love the city of Lynn. And, you know, I've put my roots here a long time ago, and I have 2 children that have gone through the Lynn Public Schools, and they've done very, very well and for themselves. And so I want to give that back to the students of Lynn. I think that's an important thing that I can bring. The second thing is I bring a unique perspective of a public school teacher. Currently, I teach 3rd grade in the Danvers Public Schools. And so, you know, I'm in the trenches, as they say, and I understand education. I understand educational policy. I've been teaching for a really long time now. Don't want to say how long, but it's been a really long time. And you know, I've done everything in education, from being on bargaining units to administrative work to classroom teaching, which is where I am right now. So that's a very unique and I think very important perspective that I can bring to the committee. And the third reason is unfinished business. This will be coming up on the end of my first term and beginning hopefully what will be my second term. And I'm hoping to finish some of the things that we've started. The biggest one obviously is the Pickering Middle School. We have to really push to get that taken care of. Hopefully I can talk about that again later tonight if it comes up in one of the questions. But so those are my 3 reasons for running. So number 4 on the ballot, and I hope to get one of your votes. Thank you.
And you just missed the red card.
Just missed it.
Okay, the next speaker will be Walquiria? Walquiria, I'm sorry.
Leguisamon, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I am thankful and grateful for this amazing opportunity. It's been a journey. I am a first-generation immigrant from the Dominican Republic. As a ESL student, I know firsthand the struggles that our students are dealing with. I have a bachelor's in science from Springfield College, and I have always been passionate about education. I believe that every child deserves access to quality education. I believe that we need effective strength-based communication with parents to the success of our students. I am committed to work with the school committee to ensure that all students have the opportunity to succeed. I have a strong understanding of the challenges facing our public schools, and I'm confident that I can make a positive contribution to the school committee. I am a hard worker, and I'm dedicated to making a difference in the lives of students. I am confident that I have the skills and experience to be an effective member of a school committee. I am a team member, and I'm able to work effectively with others. I'm also a good listener, and I'm able to take feedback with criticism constructively. I would be honored to serve on the school committee. I believe that I have the skills and experience to make positive contribution to the school district. I am confident that I can work with the other members of the committee. I ask respectfully for one of your 6 votes on November 7. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Sandra.
Yes.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Anyone who wants me to repeat these questions, just say so.
Okay, well, I don't need it, thank
Okay.
you. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm very happy because that's going to be an opportunity that people are going to know a little bit about myself. And I thank the television for inviting me to, and thank you to all of you to be here. And I'm running for a school committee because I have a passion. I have a knowledge that I want to implement in the school system, and I want to be part of that success that I want for those children who faces a lot of struggling, and for parents who faces communication battle. So I have a passion because I see kids, they are like alone. They don't have a lot of help, and you make a question to them, and they are like wondering what they're gonna be after they finish those 12 years in the school. They don't have a directions, and it's really sad how the school right now is deal with that. I know all the struggle the school have it, but it seems like we all need to work together and give it most to help the school, because it's not only the job for the school. All need to be work together, parent, teacher, and the school. Thank you.
Okay. Tiffany.
Yes.
I was going to say Magnolia, but
That's okay. A lot of people call me Dr. Magnolia too. That's fine. Thank you for the opportunity, as everyone else has said. So I am finishing up my first term, and I am running for re-election for a couple of reasons. The first time I ran, I wanted to hear more parent voices on the school committee. Now, obviously, in 21, the three of us who got elected all had kids in the schools, and so that parent voice was very much represented, and I appreciate that perspective. I'm still a parent voice on the school committee, but I also have a background in education. I had a hot minute as certified in teaching high school. Turned out my vocation was to teach in higher education, and I am a professor at North Shore Community College. So one of the things that I bring that is unique among all the candidates is a sense of what our graduates have in terms of skills and asset-based education, but also what they lack in terms of knowledge and perspective. So I think in the time that I've been on the school committee thus far, I've been able to bring that higher education perspective and point out where there are opportunities. I'm also the only candidate that's a member of the LGBTQIA community, and I think it's really important to be a voice for those students who often do not have the ability to advocate for themselves in the way that other groups do because of how they are marginalized. And so I want to keep up that work on the school committee. Thank you.
okay. Lenny?
Well, I want to say good evening, everyone. Thank you, Lynn Community Television, for inviting us. Thank you, Joe, for being the moderator. I ran as a parent, and just like, just concur what Dr. Magnolia said, I wanted to bring that parent voice, and I think we were successful with that. And I'm running for re-election to kind of like finish some unfinished business. So I was part of the Superintendent Search Committee, which produced the very first Hispanic superintendent of Lynn Public School, which I think is very important to bring that diversity. And then I'm advocating for student voice, because it's very important to see student voice. As a parent who has 3 children in Lynn Public Schools now, and a parent who had three kids who graduated, who went to the Lynn Public School System, I see how inclusivity and representation and student voice is very important. Also, I was part of the negotiation committee that served a very fair contract for our educators, and that'll help with retention. And hopefully we can keep recruiting and creating pipelines to bring more educators and work with our current students. And I just want to say we're part of the school committee now. We're part of a great team, and we all bring a different perspective. And I'm very proud to serve on that committee. And I hope to come back and continue to do the work we've been doing. Thank you.
Sean?
Good evening, everyone watching on TV, and thank you, Joe, and thank you to LCTV for all the amazing work you do every day. My name's Sean Reid. I'm running for Lynn School Committee to bring a new generation of leadership to our schools. I want to bring fresh ideas, a fresh perspective, and just fresh energy to the committee to build upon the great work that the committee's been doing. I decided to first run because education is deeply personal to me. It's personal to me as someone who attended Lynn Public Schools my entire life. And, you know, I wasn't always the best student in and out of the classroom, despite my potential, but my educators and administrators always pushed me through and got me to where I am today. So I hope that every student has that type of opportunity regardless of their situation. Education is also personal to me as the husband of a Lynn Public Schools special ed teacher. She's also a union building representative and a coach in the Lynn Public Schools. So I kind of get that unique perspective every day, whether I want to hear it or not. And also, education is personal to me as someone who is going to raise his future family in the city and cares deeply about the city and has been active for a long time. Besides my passion, obviously, for education, I also have the professional experience to do the job. In my day job for Senator Creighton, I work on some of the most pressing issues facing our community, including education. Beyond that, I serve on a number of boards and active in a number of organizations, such as the YMCA board, the Lynn Rotary Club, and I co-founded a nonprofit, Kayak and Sail Lynn, and I look forward to speaking tonight further. Thank you.
Andrea?
Thank you for the opportunity of being here. So I'm specifically running for school committee for my 3 children and yours. I have 2 children that are currently in the Lynn Public School System, and 1 will be entering next year. I want every child to reach their full academic level of achievement and to reach and expand their full potential, and that's my goal. I'm a lifelong Lynn resident. I am a mentor, a former student of LPS. I'm also a former LPS school nurse who has experience with IEPs, and a current nurse practitioner who graduated from Lynn Tech. I want to advocate for special education, student achievement. My top priority is going to be on focusing on safety, as well as community partnerships also. I hope that I will earn one of your 6 votes. So I'm number 9 on the ballot. Thank you.
Judith.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Judith Wilson, and I want to thank the television station for this opportunity to speak, and congratulations to all of you for making it thus far. Why am I running? I'm running because I have a heart that is all about children and what is good for children. They are our future, and there are some things that, there are some concerns that I see, that I have about the system right now. There are some good things, but there are things that we can improve upon. Safer schools, I would like to be part of making a difference there. The infrastructure, community partnerships with the community, families, the students, of course, they should be the focus of everything that we do. I'm also interested in having meaningful, engaging after-school programs. My heart, of course, for those of you in the community that know who I am and that I'm passionate about ensuring that our children get a solid educational foundation. I would be good. I have the experience, the knowledge, and the know-how to bring a voice to the table. Consider me when you're voting. I am number 10 on the ballot.
Okay, thank you. This next question, we received multiple questions from our viewing audience. We asked for suggestions from our LCTV audience, and this one is submitted by Sarah Kay, but it's also been similar questions were submitted by several people. You're going to have 2 minutes to answer this question. I'm going to read the question once, then I'm going to read it again. And Eric Dugan's going to go first, and if anyone wants me to repeat it, I will. But it's a long question. It requires some thought, and here we go. Okay. There has been a sharp rise in requests to restrict, remove, or ban books that discuss the experiences and history of people of color and people in the LGBTQ+ community. If you were to receive such a request, how would you think about your response to the request, and who would you consult as you make your decision? I'll read it again. There has been a sharp rise in requests to restrict, remove, or ban books that discuss the experiences and history of people of color and people in the LGBTQ+ community. If you were to receive such a request, how would you think through your response, and who would you consult as you consider your decision? You go first.
All right. That's a really good question. Yeah, and it does, kind of follow the, I guess, national narrative that we're starting to see around the country nowadays. I'm against banning books. I feel like our history is complicated in the United States, but it's important to learn. All of the people that make the United States important have a history, and all of those people deserve to have that history taught to our students. And our students deserve to learn that history, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, all of it. And the reason for that is because the reason I studied history in college as a minor, and one of the reasons I did that is because you're doomed to repeat it should you not know your history. So banning books takes away from students' learning, in my opinion. Banning books takes away from a student experience. Banning books takes away from teaching the diversity that we need to teach. Banning books takes away acceptance and teaching children acceptance of our LGBTQ community. So totally against that, 100%. Books need to be obviously grade level appropriate. There's books that, that are taught in high school that I wouldn't teach in my third grade class, but it doesn't mean I'd take them from the library either. And who would I consult? Honestly, probably the superintendent. I'd talk to Dr. Alvarez and, hey, I got this email, and what do you think? But my gut, I think I'd just go with my gut on that one, and my experience in the field of education, and that all of that points to that would be a big mistake. So, thank you.
Thank you. Wakita?
All right. I am all for critical thinking. I believe that one of the most important things we can teach children is critical thinking. So exposing them to information is definitely crucial. However, if a parent that voted for me to represent them came up to me and said that they were concerned about something, I would value that concern, and I will bring that parent concern to those that need to hear it. That's my answer.
Okay, Sandra?
I agree with what Reid, Dugan, and Walquiria said, and then I added it to that I gonna be consult with the superintendent, but I gonna be consulting with the let's say like the people who need to be involved, like doctors, psychology, because those people are more having more capacity to be making decisions on that part. But I'm gonna say something. I do not want to bring children information that is no for their age or their grade, because right now we have some information randomly in the school that, in my point of view, some children is not ready to be surrounding that type of information. And if your parents decide to vote for me, I'm gonna be the voice to be a front to talk for their children and to make sure the children gonna have the right information they're supposed to have, and take care about the age that children has and the development that children has at the moment. Because sometimes children have 15 years old, for example, but they thinking is like a child. So that children is not supposed to be allowed some type of information that he don't gonna process it. So that's what I need to say about it, and thank you so much.
Okay, if anyone needs me to repeat it, I will, but go ahead, Tiffany.
Wonderful. So I am chair of the curriculum subcommittee, and so as someone whose job it is to steer the direction and the agenda for that subcommittee, I would be the person that if someone wanted to bring a potential ban to would come to put it on the agenda. And I will tell you that under my chairship, none of these have come up, and they never will. I promise that 100%. And there's a very specific reason why for that. The first instances of racism that BIPOC kids experience is around age 5. This is proven psychologically. So if we keep books that talk about the diversity and the beautiful multiplicity of languages and cultures and skin tones away from young kids, then all we're doing is decontextualizing those specific experiences. We know that for trans kids, a lot of them can identify their transness at around age 6. So if we take those materials away from young kids, all we're doing is making them confused about what it is they're experiencing. For kids who have different kinds of families, they might have LGBTQIA parents, right? All we're doing is telling them that their family configuration is not okay. And so if we keep these materials out of classrooms, all we are doing is sending the message that there is one way to be, and Lynn Public Schools are strong because there are so many different kinds of people in our school system, and our materials need to represent that. Now, every parent has the right to say to their own child, I don't want you reading this. But no parent has the right to say, I don't want someone else's child to read this. And that is why no books will be banned under my chairmanship of the curriculum subcommittee. Thank you.
Lenny?
Thank you. I'm totally against removing any books or banning books, especially when it comes to discussing the history of people of color and their struggles. It's very important to educate our children and to understand someone else's culture and their struggles. And I believe that's how we can all get over and how to start working in. Because when you start understanding someone else's struggle and the culture, you get a better understanding, and it's more welcoming. And it's important to educate our kids, our students, about different background, ethnicities that are in our city, because we're a very big, diverse city, and when someone doesn't understand, that's where we get the stigmas, and all that. And it's important to really get culturally, informed about someone else, because I wouldn't really understand why does certain cultures do certain things, and until I get to read about it and I understand, then I can engage in that with my other students, with other students, and you see them, and then you start to understand, and then you start getting rid of things of racism, afraid of what someone else looks like, and you get a better understanding. And that's something that, I am totally against removing any books of gender identity. Now, I agree, there's some things that are not appropriate at certain levels, but I wouldn't want to remove the books. And like I said, now I agree. All parents have the right to not want their child to read a certain book, but no one should have the right for anyone else's child, because we all have our own rights to read and let our students read what they want. But I am totally against, especially, removing books that talk about other cultures, people of color, history of racism, things like that, because we need to teach our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, I think we all know, everyone at this table at least knows that Lynn's strength is clearly in our diversity. We have people from all backgrounds, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all walks of life, all countries, linguistic diversity, everything to that nature. So we really got to be a leader in this issue, because if we're not a leader in this issue, then no one will be. So we need to make sure that we send a clear message, not only for our own kids, but for everyone else in our Commonwealth and beyond. Lynn has been a leader in civil rights. We've made great strides in LGBTQ rights, and we need to continue that tradition. A lot of people think book banning is a new phenomenon. It actually isn't. It's happened before. Even classics that we've all read, and many of us have probably learned a lot from, Diary of Anne Frank, To Kill a Mockingbird. These books were all banned at one time, and it's probably hard for a lot of people to believe this, but it's almost always used as a political tool to sort of suppress those who are less privileged. So this is the same things going on here, just with different groups, different times. So we need to make sure that we continue to push back on this and like Tiffany said, any book, if it was up to me, would not be banned in our school. The other part of the question when it comes to who I would consult with, part of my overall campaign message has been community engagement. I think any issue, my philosophy, even beyond running for office, is if you want to hear the truth about an issue, go to those who are most negatively impacted by it, right? Why listen to someone who hasn't experienced it, who doesn't get it? So I would go to those most affected by this issue, and also on the internal side, people like Dr. Magnolia and also the superintendent. So thank you so much.
Andrea?
So I as well am opposed to book banning too. I don't believe that a particular person should be able to dictate what's deemed appropriate and not appropriate. I think that parents should also have a say, though, in regards to what their child absorbs as well. I think that's very important, and that's where the parents' voices, I agree with Sean, in regards to engagement, just going directly to the source and getting some input on them before making a decision. I'd also discuss with Dr. Alvarez as well. And I think that it's important, as Lenny mentioned, about just in general cultural education and things like that, so that each child knows that we're all unique and different in our own way, and that they don't, and that's a good way. So I think that it's very important not to ban books. Thank you.
Okay, Judith?
My response is that I am supportive of books that will ensure our children are learning about history, basic math, reading, and all subjects that will prepare them for the world. Who would I reach out to if someone plans to ban books? Someone said, a few of the persons here said that parental engagement, involvement is key. These are their children in the schools. We must engage the parents in all the decisions that we are making for them. This is about their children, not our children. Yes, they're our children as a community because it takes a village to raise a child. So we are a part of this. Parental engagement. The superintendent, of course, would also be encouraged to be part of this decision making, and all the other members of the school committee. Thank
Stacy?
you.
I totally disagree with banning any books. Knowledge is power. And these students, children need to learn. They should learn as much as they can about everything. Life is very challenging. And for them not to know how to deal with certain situations at a certain different time, they need the education. They need to read books. They need to be educated. Education, I value education. Education is the key. It is the key, and it's powerful. And I will report it to Dr. Magnolia and the superintendent. That's my answer. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to a much less contentious question.
Okay.
But it's something we have to deal with. It's important. The next one. And this is 90 seconds you have to answer this. And Wakita, you'll go first. And it's Pickering Middle School won't be the last project. What would be your next priority, and what would your approach be to maintaining existing schools?
Okay, well, through learning about our struggles as schools, our schools are old, they're falling apart, we have 40 children in each classroom. My number one thing that I would do is find a way to advocate for funding, for the funding formula that is currently in place to be challenged. Our legislators need to work harder in getting us the schools that we need. We need more schools. Pickering is great, that's happening, finally it's happening, but we need more schools. And we also need better management of what we already have.
Sandra.
Okay, I was gonna say about that. I'm so happy that the project is already in place to finally realize. And I'm gonna be working very hard to working and see how can I involve all the business around to have funding to support the school and help indirectly the school system. And then I would like to have like a some review to see how can we match them in the money that the school receive from the government, and then check how can we save money to implement to implement that survey, right? To build new school and apply to the school that we have already, and make sure that they can have a rehabilitation to have better services, and to have then rebuild and have access to all the equipment that they are needed right now. And I'm gonna give you some example quickly. That's quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
I just struggle to answer.
So there's a sort of short-term and a long-term answer to your question. The short-term is that alternate spaces are what we need to pursue pretty much immediately. And I think the Frederick Douglass Collegiate Academy is a perfect example of this. This is the high school that exists on North Shore Community College's campus. We've also pursued leased space for some of the preschool programs, and looking at preschool programs through our community partners with the goal of expanding preschool access across the city. Right now, we have very limited access, mostly because of space. In the long term, though, I think what we need to look at is whether or not we want to, and this is entirely a community decision, consolidate schools in order to build new ones, or rehab schools that, as they exist. This needs to be a community decision, because we have a number of small elementary schools that are very old, and building one new one rather than replacing 5 old ones might make sense, but only if the community decides that's what they want to do. And I think that there's a really good opportunity once the formula is modernized for our school buildings to have that community conversation, to make some community decisions about replacement, and then to move forward. Thank you.
Lenny?
Thank you. So overcrowding is an issue, obviously, and it's been an issue for quite some time in Lynn Public Schools. We have old schools. The infrastructure is very old. Some schools are 100 years old, and leasing and finding, working with nonprofits and local community groups to find leasing spaces, those are short-term, and immediate solutions for our issues. I think long-term, we need to really, really work with our delegation, our legislation, and really, really try to advocate for more state funding. We really need some state funding, and we really need to chase after some federal grants, get some federal money coming in, because we need to really work on long-term solutions. Working with, we had the Virginia Barton at the YMCA, finding small spaces, those are like quick solutions immediately, but we really need to think of long-term solutions, and that's working with our state legislation and finding ways to get more federal funding for our local schools.
Okay, Sean?
I've knocked thousands of doors in every precinct in this city, and no matter what neighborhood I was in, this was by far the #1 issue that people brought up to me. Quite frankly, there's no other way to say it, and I don't say this lightly, this is an injustice. This is truly an injustice. There was a Globe article not too long ago that said students of color gets $3,500 gets spent less per student of color when it comes to school construction than white students. that's insane. I mean, how are we allowing this to happen? So, like, I agree with a lot of the Band-Aids that we all mentioned. Well, of course, the short term is a little trickier, but the cure is we need to reform the state funding formula and how the MSBA operates. There was a Student Opportunity Act that reformed how our operational costs were, how money was given for operational costs. We need the same type of thing for the capital side. I have worked on this legislation. My boss, Senator Brendan Creighton, has legislation that basically removes red tape and increases revenue for cities like Lynn and a lot of cities across the board, actually. So basically how the Student Opportunity Act got passed is they basically ran a campaign. We have to run a campaign. That is the only way that we will, get real action on this. Let's share our data, share our pictures, share our stories, and also let's bring people in. I guarantee you that a lot of people at the MSBA would not send their kids to the schools that we have in Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea.
Currently, I think as a short-term solution is also being able to lease retail spaces or factory spaces in the interim. I think ultimately, all of our primary goal is to get more schools to assist with the overcrowding that has been an issue forever. The MSBA did just increase the grant money to $1.2 billion, and I think that Lynn needs to aggressively be fighting for these funds to fund these projects. I think that's really what it comes down to. Thank you.
Judith.
I also agree with most of what's been stated here about the two tiers, short-term and long-term. Short-term, yes, we can have, as I'm going to use what Sean says, short-term, put Band-Aids on. But short-term, yes, we can have rent spaces, etc. But on a long-term basis, let's engage the city councilors. Let's seek state funding, federal funding. Let's include the businesses in the city of Lynn. And also, let's not forget the community. Let's engage them, because I guarantee you, from speaking to families, they have lots of ideas. They have lots of suggestions. So in all of the decision making, let's involve the community, let's involve the parents.
Stacy.
It really saddens me because of the conditions that the kids, students are being taught in, and as well as the educators. I feel like short-term, of course, lease retail space, but for long-term, money is hard. I think reaching out into the global community, people with money, I'm sorry, because it saddens me because of the way the conditions of the schools are, and the kids go to this school every day, and the educators as well, and the staff. I mean, I did not know that Lynn school system was this bad. And I wish I could change it overnight, but yeah, I would think outside the box, reach out to the global community. I'm sorry, you have to. We need money for the school and for the kids.
Eric?
Thank you. So a lot of it's been said. I'm obviously last on this one. But I think, we have our Frederick Douglass Academy, which helps alleviate some of the issues that we're seeing at Lynn English. But also one of the things that happened when we first got on, Tiffany, Lenny, and I first got on, was Mayor Nicholson proposed a 10-year plan to look at our elementary schools. So supporting that, making sure that he's updating us on that. Obviously, our hands are full right now with Pickering, but once that's built, and it will get built, that'll be our next project. The other part of it is we need to be the face of those legislative bills. We need to show the community that we are supporting these. The Modernized School Construction Act that Brendan Creighton is sponsoring is a critically important legislature that needs to go through to help Lynn, because it is unfair. The students of Lynn do deserve better, so we need to be the face of that. Sean brought up No On 2. One of the first ways I met Councilor LaPierre was a No On 2 rally that we were they're holding signs. So being the face of that, making sure we're out in the public and encouraging others that, and educating them, what are these things, is really, really important, because without these laws, without these, new legislative processes that are going through, we're going to be behind the 8 ball. And we don't want to have that to happen. We don't want to wait another, 20, 25 years till we get some new schools built. So that would be the 2 things that I think haven't been mentioned yet. So thank you.
Okay. And we get time for a bonus question. It's actually, we call it a bonus question, but it's not it's a good question, I think. It came from the audience. It came from the viewing public. So I didn't make it up. Don't blame me. Okay. And we'll start with Sandra. Okay. And the first, it is, what grade would you give the Lynn Public Schools? Why? And what would you do to help bring it up to an A+?
Well, I'm visiting a couple of schools, and the situation that I see, probably I'm going to give you the number 6. And what do I make to rate up the number? First of all, I would like to talk with the professor, because they are the heart of the school and the heart of the system. Then I'm meeting the parents, and I encourage the teachers to be working with the parents. And the third one, I'll be talking with the superintendent and with the legislation, because the most higher problem that school faces is the money, the sources of money. Without money, the school can't do much. And then I understand right now the position of the superintendent with the budget that she has, because it's really difficult deal with the overcrowd that she has, and it's really difficult to have a good services for the professor with that type of budget. I will like implement all the projects that I have on mind, but it needs to be time.
Thank you. Now, Tiffany.
Okay, how long do we have for this one? 90 seconds or 2?
90
okay. So I'm going to be a teacher for a second and say grades can disincentivize folks, right? You get a bad grade and you think, oh, what's the point? I'm going to give up. So I'm going to do the college professor thing and give written feedback instead. Okay, what I'm going to say is that our buildings are not really up to speed. On that count, we need to do much better. Our teachers are awesome, but we do have a problem retaining our teachers. So there is a lot of room for improvement in that. Our curriculum, we have a great process for curricular review. We have a rubric for bringing it in, and now we're going to have a rubric going forward at my insistence for the rollout of it. Our athletics are not in a great shape. We have some amazing athletes. We don't have great training facilities. We don't have great opportunities for everyone to participate in athletes. So overall, to get us up to that A+ level, I would say that we need to spend our time and energy where it is most needed. We need to spend lots of time and energy as the school committee on ensuring that we have adequate facilities for our athletes and for our students. This includes paying really close attention to overcrowding, and we need to invest in our teachers in very specific ways. We need to invest in recruitment and retention. We need to invest in professional development and mentoring. Thanks.
Thank you. You'd saved by almost the belts.
Oh, I'm very good at that time. Don't worry.
Yeah. Lenny.
You reading my notes? So, overall, I'll never forget hearing these words. I remember Dr. Tutwiler said, I'll put my team against any team. And he was talking about his educators. I think the educators in Lynn are amazing, especially with dealing with what they have at hand and dealing with all the adversity. Our buildings could do a lot better. I would give that like a C there. Our students are amazing. We have a diverse faculty, and I'm going to say our curriculum, I think we're headed in the right direction. And now we could do a little better, but we're doing a very good job with our curriculum and the professional development, where it's coming down from the top. Our student athletes, we don't have the best training facilities, but for a city that has 4 public high schools, I mean, if we had one, we'd be top in the state. I'm a big avid sport fan, especially football. I love football. I love working with kids. I think we need those are one of the goals for the superintendent, bring up student athletes, bringing more facilities, develop our student athletes. And I mean, overall, I would give our school system an A. I believe in the Lynn Public School system. I went to Lynn Public Schools. All my children attend Lynn Public Schools. I give Lynn Public Schools an A.
Sean.
Dealing with what we have.
I wish Lenny Pena was my teacher if he's given our schools a C. He must be a really easy grader. But the
Building ground.
The frustrating part about Lynn is we have the things that are hard to find. We have great teachers. We have resilient, hardworking, talented students. These are the hard things to find. So I think I'll call them our intangibles, are certainly an A, and they're unique. I think our more physical and sort of organizational infrastructure is where we can really use some work. Of course, our buildings, we all know that. But also teacher retention, as Dr. Magnolia mentioned. A lot of these great teachers that we have are leaving to other districts, whether it be pay, whether it be a lack of support, or some of the unique challenges. And what's particularly aggravating about that is a lot of these teachers want to be here. They like the actual students and they love teaching. It's just there's certain, burdens that they need to, that they can't get over, and I don't blame them one bit. The other thing is, I think, communication. I hear this a lot. One of the kind of criticisms of our district is the administration doesn't do a great job either, communicating with the teachers, at the staff, and also, we don't do as good of a job letting people know what's going on. So I think those are kind of the biggest issues to get our schools up to an A+.
Andrea.
I would say, so of course, one of the main things is the buildings, structural deficits. I feel like, in order for educators and students to feel safe, they definitely need to be tended to. In addition to that, retaining teachers as well. I think that a solution that I did propose was doing a sign-on bonus. So, over like a 2 or 3 installment period over 2 or 3 years. Maybe that could help to foster retaining teachers. But we do have some incredible educators. And so I think there we actually, made out very well. I think Lynn Public School is great. Being an LPS graduate and ending up with my master's as a nurse practitioner and watching my children go through the Lynn Public School system, one is in high honors currently. So I think that educators are great. That definitely brings our school up to our grade up. But so I think overall, I'd give it a B.
Okay, Judith.
The Lynn Public Schools has great talent. And having worked in the school system, I can speak to that directly. Great teachers, however, as some folks stated, we do need to come up with a task force, for example, specifically to recruit and also develop steps, solutions as to how we can retain these teachers by giving them support, the tools that they need to do their jobs effectively. I would also focus on the school infrastructure. Also ensure that we have the state-of-the-art 21st century curriculum. After-school program should not only involve sports. There are children who are interested in who have other interests and would love to see some of these other things implemented in this after-school program. I would also take a closer look at the bullying policy. And yes, so there are, I believe we're on the right path. And it can only get better if we all work cohesively as a community, as elected officials, involving the city councilors. And I'm going to invite them to go and sit in the classrooms to get firsthand experience of what the kids are experiencing in the schools.
Thank you. Almost. Almost. Stacy.
Question. Can you tell me question?
Sure. What grade would you give the Lynn Public Schools? Why, and what would you do to help bring it up to an A+?
As far as the inside of the school, the educators, they're wonderful. And the reason I say this is because of the conditions they work in. And I think that to retain them, I think they need to feel more appreciated a lot often. That goes a long ways, acknowledgement. And as far as the building goes, need money to bring the building up to par. No, that building is not safe. And it's not, and it affects the well-being of the children as well. I would, like I said before, I would reach out to the global community and get money to make the schools better for the students and the educators and the staff.
Okay, Eric?
Okay, sure. So I guess I'm going to take a standards-based approach and kind of look at it as needs improvement, meeting, and exceeding. Obviously, some of the things that were stated do need improvement. Our buildings need improvement. I think our technology, not necessarily the people that are implementing our technology, but the amount of technology we're using in our classroom, that would probably be a needs improvement. Meeting, I would say our curriculum. We got some work to do, but we're getting there. So that would be meeting the expectations exceeding expectations. I'm going to say our teachers, obviously, that's the easy one. We have really hardworking teachers that are working harder than our surrounding districts. They're working harder because of the circumstances that they're working in and their conditions that they're working in. So they're working harder than our surrounding districts. The ones that are staying and with the students of Lynn are definitely exceeding A++. Some things other things we need to work on. I think student pride is something we need to work on. Again, as I'm talking to people, a lot of the parents are kind of, they don't really want to hang around school. They want to come home right away. And I think that just goes to the pride in our schools. I was fortunate, and Danvers fortunate enough to be on a coaching staff of 3 state championship basketball teams. And the pride that brings to the school and the enthusiasm that brings to the school during the pep rallies, the kids that are on the team is an immeasurable. Lynn's been part of that a few times, but it's been a while. I know our Lynn English boys basketball team got pretty close a few years back. But again, during that run, the pride that was at Lynn English, it was tremendous. So I think just finding ways to bring the pride back in our school is really important.
You got caught.
I got caught. Yeah. I did get caught. I got talking about basketball. So I got
All right. The first thing I want to say is that I applaud the teachers, the courageous teachers that we do have left. I had the privilege to sit down with a few of them, and they're passionate. They love what they do. I say courageous because they are working under circumstances that shouldn't be happening. Unfortunately, we have them. I want to say that we do have a few schools that are doing great. And one of the common denominator on those schools is parental engagement, PTOs, parent-teacher organization. I believe parent input is important to be successful for so many reasons. When you have an overcrowded classroom, you're going to have behavior issues. So if you have parents involved and you can implement the same correction of discipline at home, in correlation, in alignment with what's happening in school, that's going to work. That's going to help that child stay aligned and better behave, be motivated. That's actually proven statistically. So I believe that parent engagement, getting parents' input, be validated, important parents' concern being there, manage overcrowding, and communication, big issue. We're having a huge communication. We all know our schools are having issues with overcrowding, but if we work with what we have and we invest our time in bettering these aspects, we can do great. I believe we can do better. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes question 4. Now we'll go to the closing statements, and we're going to lead with Tiffany. You have 90 seconds? 90 seconds.
Wonderful. So I just want to ask for everyone who's watching this, I'm finishing up my first term. I would really like to go back to continue my work on the curriculum and policy and personnel committees. But much more importantly, I think anyone who's been able to watch a school committee meeting has been able to see that I bring a wealth of knowledge and information, and I want to continue that role on the school committee, being able to speak up with some specificity, ask some hard questions, make sure that all angles are being considered, whether it's a new job coming up or the implementation of how we are evaluating curriculum from our curriculum department. I think it's really important to keep parents on the school committee, and I want to urge all the voters out there as you're casting your ballots to think about who has direct experience with what's going on in the schools day to day. I also want that when folks go to make their decision on November 7th, they think about how representation matters on the school committee, how having a bunch of different voices actually makes the school committee stronger, not weaker, because we can give our perspectives to our colleagues and they can see things from where we're coming from. So on November 7th, I'm number 11 on the ballot. I ask for one of your 6 votes. Thank you.
Lenny.
Well, I'm Lenny Pena. As many of you know, I'm on the school committee now, and I'm a parent, and I'm engaged in the community. I'm the founder and owner of Lynn is Against Drug Abuse, so I do tons and tons of community work in the community. I'm a youth coach, several youth sports programs throughout the city, so I mentor many kids. My passion is children. I love giving back to the community. And I humbly ask on November 7th to vote number 1 on the ballot. Give me another opportunity to come back and to finish the work that we've done. It's important to have representation and be a voice for all on the Lynn School Committee. Thank you.
Sean?
Thank you all again at LCTV, and thank you to my fellow candidates. It's been quite a run, and I'm glad it's ending soon and we get to go to work. But we're at a critical time right now in Lynn Public Schools. We're at an inflection point. We obviously, the new Pickering's in the pipeline, and I know we're all working really hard to make sure that gets done and gets done right, and I know it will. We also still have a newish superintendent who, is learning the ropes and making some great strides. And we still have additional Student Opportunity Act state funding that's being infused over time and implemented in different strategies. So we need someone who's ready to serve on day one. And I think that, given my experience in the community with different organizing activities, I was an organizer on the 2 New Schools for Lynn campaign. I have a lot of knowledge navigating state policies and organizations and agencies that will be vital to getting all these issues to the level of government that they need to be at. So I humbly ask for one of your 6 votes on November 7th. I'm number 2 on the ballot. Always feel free to reach out to me on, text me, call me, reach out to me on social media. Not hard to find. Thanks so much.
Andrea.
Thanks again for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Again, my name is Andrea Satterwhite. I would appreciate one of your 6 votes. I think I also bring a unique perspective being a nurse practitioner and also having graduated from Lynn Public School System and having my 3 children who are currently in the Lynn Public School System. As I mentioned previously, 1 will be entering next year and I have 2 currently in. As a nurse practitioner, I advocate for my clients, my patients, and I feel as though I can approach this as well and include that in advocating for not only my student but yours. So I humbly ask for your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Judith?
Thank you. Again, my name is Judith Wilson. I thank you to the television station for this opportunity to speak. And I also want to say, I wish you all the best during this election. Lynn residents, why do I think you should vote for me? Because I believe I will bring a fresh new perspective. I have an extensive background in mental health and social work. I'm an excellent advocate for those whom I serve. My record speaks for itself. I come to you with a heart of sincerity. I am not here to, because of notoriety, because of a name. I come because I genuinely want to be your voice at the table. I've spoken to many of you and the concerns that you've expressed to me. I would like to be your voice, to bring them to the forefront. So as you go to the voting poll, I implore you, I beg you, think about your children, our future. And I'm asking you respectfully to consider me for one of your 6 votes. Thank you so much.
Stacy?
I am a court officer. I've worked in juvenile court for over 20 years. And I work with all different youth from all walks of life that I love. I consider each and every one of them my work children, and I am passionately determined to put my experience to use to engage in our community, to be an effective part of the solution that will mitigate these negative cycles and create new paths for our youth. I would love to be on the school committee. I am number 7 on the ballot, and I humbly ask for one of your votes. Thank you.
Eric?
Okay. So thank you to all the candidates. Very thoughtful answers tonight. I think we gave the voters a lot to think about and a lot to consider, so I think that's very important. And thank you to LCTV for hosting. My name's Eric Dugan. I'm number 4 on the ballot, and I love Lynn. I love the city I live in, and I'm passionate about the schools, and I'm passionate about education. At a forum last week, I said, you know, I'm an educator first, and I'm not a politician, and I firmly believe that. I'm an educator that loves my city, that lives in the city of Lynn, that I think can bring something to the table. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm running for office. You know, I confidently think that I'm more than capable to get the job done. So Eric Dugan, number 4 on the ballot, Lynn School Committee. And just to use a little bit of my time, please get out, support the Thrive Act, which would help with MCAS data, and look it up if you don't know. I don't have time to explain it all. And also the Modernized School, which has been brought up a bunch, school construction is brought up a bunch of times, Senator Crichton's bill. So please get out and support those things. Call your legislators. They will really help the city of Lynn and help make the school committee's job easier. So thank you, everybody. Number 4 on the ballot, Eric Dugan.
Rukita?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, my fellow candidates. It's been quite a journey. My name is Walquiria Leguisamon. I am actually the representation of diversity. I am a first-generation immigrant from the Dominican Republic who came to this country with not knowledge of the language at all. I struggled to learn, and I'm proud to say I learned it, and here I am. I am a mother. I'm a wife. I am a businesswoman. I also have completed my bachelor's degree, which I'm very proud of. And my goal, the reason I'm running for school committee, is to give a voice to parents, to teachers, and to students. Through the process, I've learned that communication is one of the biggest challenges that we do have. And it is my goal to address this issue and to advocate for a more clear, transparent, two-way communication with the administration, parents, and teachers. I ask respectfully for one of your 6 votes. On November 7, I am number 12 on the ballot. Make sure you vote. And if you haven't if you haven't registered, make sure that you go. It is online. You can text me 857-251-0203. I can help you do that, okay? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Sandra?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to all of you, because at the same time I'm learning something from every one of you. My name is Sandra Lopez, and I'm going to be representing the parents and the kids and the professor. And I have a lot of projects to be presented to the school committee, and I know they're going to be help very, very much to the school system. And I know that we're going to have a very, very engaged with the community. And then I know that after I give you those projects to know to the table, everything is going to be working different. The children's going to be happy at school. The professor going to be working so happy, and everything going to be work out for every one of us. So please vote for me. I am the number 3 in the ballot, and don't forget to vote on November the 7th. And I'm going to be your representing your voice, and that in that moment when I sit in the table. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank all the candidates for your participation this evening. It was very, from a personal point of view, it was very informative, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate, as a citizen of Lynn, the number of people running for the school committee. And, also a counselor at large, that for years, both of those offices did not have a full slate of candidates. Now we do. It says something about the community, and it says, more importantly, it says something about you folks, that you care. And I just want to congratulate you folks for caring and believing in the city of Lynn, which I love dearly. So with that, I'm going to ask everyone to please get out and vote on November 7th. Only 6 of these folks can get elected. If you see something or heard something you liked from one of the candidates, it does no good to sit at home and say, geez, I like them, but I can't get out. You got to get out and vote. People die for that right. So get out and vote November 7th. Thank you.